Call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Hamashiach, the Rock, Dawash Rakah. That's all praises to the Most High. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the inhabitants of the earth ignorantly call Jesus Christ. So another day, watching and looking for prophecies of the scriptures to come to pass, and I came across this article here. It's talking about the debt, and there's going to be a $1 trillion platinum coin that's going to be made, right? You know, $1 trillion platinum coin could be minted at the last minute. A $1 trillion platinum coin could be minted within hours of the Treasury's Secretary's decision to do so. Former Director of the United States, tells us why it matters. Congressional solutions to the debt ceiling problem could take weeks to implement because America, we have a debt problem, a debt issue, and then you can just look up the debt clock. Right now, and you can see that the U.S. national debt is just steady climbing and climbing, $28 trillion, and it's steady going up and up. So the Edomites, this country the Edomites had stole, was built on rape, robbery, and murder. And they made a whole lot of money off of free labor. When those chains came off the necks of the slaves and they started to, quote unquote, become slaves of the state instead of being property, they began to make their own revenue, and they began, as years went on, develop their own I'm not gonna say money, but they was able to get paid wages, for their work. And as the days went on and on, the Edomites had to find a way to keep their wealth that they had made off of free labor. So they started to stretch that money, through loans, interest rates, banks, and all this in the third, right? So we have a whole lot of money that they issued out to people. They allow people to borrow large amounts of money from them, and they was going to pay, and those people who borrow was going to pay it back or a certain amount of time through interest, right? So now we have this problem, right, where really, I believe none of this money is being regulated. They allow people to borrow money that they don't have. Say for instance, a bank have a certain amount of money in their vaults, right, and then all of their people who have bank accounts with them decide one day to go and take out money from the bank, right? The bank won't allow that to happen. They'll find these tricky ways to stop that from happening, like closing down the bank for that day or a week, and slowing down the amount of money that is being taken out, because the more money they have within their bank, the more money that they can lend out, right? So if all these people came and try to take out their money, there won't be enough money in their bank for them to loan out money, right? So, but these sorts of things aren't really aren't being, what's the word I'm looking for? It ain't being documented. It ain't being regulated correctly by the Treasury. The Treasury is just allowing these banks to loan out money that they really don't have, and then when people come back to to the bank for their money. They asked the treasury, they asked the government for a bailout, and then we've been giving bailouts to these banks for so long, and the wealth the filthy rich and wealthy that own these banks, they don't really lose any money out of their pockets, right? They might lose money out of their company's pocket, but the money in their pocket still remains. If you catch my drift, right? So debt is steady climbing and climbing, and so they trying to find ways, to pay off the debt, which they won't be able to pay off the debt. It's in order for them to pay off this money, man, they gonna have to give up land. They're gonna have to give up resources that they don't really have, at this point in time, right? So, congressional solutions to the debt ceiling problem could take weeks to implement, especially if the reconciliation process is used and time is running out. In case of emergency, $1 trillion coin could be deployed to bridge any gap between the money running out and the debt ceiling being raised. So we believe that the money has already been run out, and they are just printing out money using the petrodollar, because some countries still have the turn their money into the petrol to buy oil, from oil reserve that the American army have grasps on, right? Have military power over, and so like they're trying to make a $1 trillion coin, which is a problem in itself. What will happen if this coin is stolen? Like, how can you put $1 trillion into a coin? Whether it be platinum, whether it be gold or whatever. How is that possible? What, they stamping their name on it? They're stamping their insignias on it, to make it official. Like, I mean, it's just hard to follow some of the things that these guys say, though. But these guys like to play semantics, and the English language is such a vindictive, well, not vindictive, but it's such an evil language, man. They'll say one thing to you, and you think that they mean this, but in actuality, they mean something totally different, So how it works: the U.S. Mint produce a 1 ounce platinum eagle. It has no shortage of platinum banks already in stock. Producing a $1 trillion eagle will require only the denomination to be changed. This could be quickly executed on the existing plaster mold of the platinum eagle. Blah blah blah. Just more yada yada. At that point, a coin could be struck in minutes, right? So they can just make, large amounts of money into a single coin, and I don't know what they're gonna do with this coin. Give it to corporations? Give it to a country? Like, it's just hard to, these guys is just making up anything at the end because they're panicking and they see that their country is collapsing. They doing all they can to, to keep it keep their structures from falling and collapsing them onto itself, right? Biden says he can't guarantee U.S. won't hit debt ceiling. If you don't want to help save the country, which we don't want this country, the Israelites who's in this truth, we don't want this country to prolong. This is an evil country. People who rule this country don't have God in their thoughts or in all their ways. They're contrary to all the ways of God. So if you don't want to save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it, right? So these guys are trying to keep this country afloat when they see that it's breaking down and it's being destroyed right before their very eyes, So more news. Right, there was a Well, let's get some scriptures on that though. Let's go to Second Edges. Let's go to Second Edges, chapter 6. Second Edges, chapter 6. Right, it's a great chapter. You should read it. I'm gonna start at verse 6 to get to the point. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be in it, and by none other. I'm on verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, meaning he's the end of an age. You know, Esau is the end of this age right now. He will no longer be ruling in the near future, you know, because this is it. This is all that he got. You know, this is his heaven. He can pass whatever laws he want to pass. He can lock up whatever people in prison that he wants to lock up. He can push whatever philosophy and doctrines he want to push, you know. So this is his heaven, man. You know, he's free to walk on stolen ground without a care in the world. His descendants, you know, believe in all the lies, you know, that they have taught them, and they, you know, and they, none of them feel guilty. You know, a small number of them, you know, are ashamed, but the large majority of them not. You know, so when we get our turn to rule this earth, they gonna receive double all the nonsense that they dealt to us, man. It's gonna be dealt back to them. You know, it's gonna be for 1,000 years, man, because they've had us, you know, in captivity for a very long time, right? But when we get, you know, our kingdom, there ain't gonna be no more Edomites or wicked people rising up on the earth and ruling it ever again. You know, Jacob is the beginning of it that falleth, right? So Jacob's, you know, the Israelites is the beginning of it afterwards. You know, after Yahushua come back, he's gonna knock down and tear down all these kingdoms. After the other nations destroy Babylon the Great, you know. So verse 10, the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. There was another part I wanted to go. Verse 22. Verse 18, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell on the earth. Because the Lord has been visiting these people, and he's showing the people of God how much of a hypocrite this people is, and giving us grace and mercy, you know, and not outright letting this devil destroy us. You know, all of his traps that he's laid to us in the past, he's fallen in it themselves, right? And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, right? So there's going to be a great famine in America. People ain't going to be able to go to stores and buy food anymore. People aren't going to be able to, you know, people ain't gonna be able to have a great living, man. That time is coming to an end, you know. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid, and everybody is gonna hear that trumpet, man, that sound. And when I hear that trumpet, when the elect in the truth, man, that obey of the Bible, when we hear that sound, we know that it's a wrap. It's time to go home, you know. So, but when they hear it, they gonna be terribly afraid because they ain't gonna know what's going on. So, right, that's just the point that I want. And there was a shutdown on Facebook. There was an outage. Um, there was an outage on Facebook, and then this the Jerusalem Post is talking about after Facebook big tech outages. It was out for like around 6 hours last night. Maybe doomsday scenario and future conflict. Let enough people rely on just one or two tech giants for everything they do, and you create a Pearl Harbor like vulnerability, right? So a lot of people rely on these social media uh, tech giants for their news, for their ability to communicate. Some people use the Facebook and messengers for meetings, for work-based, you know, companies and this and the third, right? So, so when all of this shuts down, a lot of people are gonna lose money, because when this stuff happens, Zuckerberg, he lost what, around like $6 billion, an amount of those hours, you know, the impressive trajectory of the internet age and social media's dominance of how we get our information was put on display Monday night when Facebook and its companies, Instagram and WhatsApp, crashed worldwide, right? And the Lord is showing you that, He has the power to do these things, to crash all of this down, He can just send an angel, you know, up there in the firmament and destroy those satellites, and then there's no more internet, you know. Really, the Lord made the internet so that, allowed the internet to be found so that, this gospel, this truth will be easily spread throughout the four corners of the earth, So, right. So this is just a wake up call. The Lord is working in the earth, and the time that Esau have his heaven is coming to an end. He's at the end of his vacation, so to speak. So what else is there? And there's just a whole bunch of other folly that's going on. Right, rich people are losing money. Trump was lost a lot of money during the pandemic. He lost like 600 million because of all of his estates and buildings that he have were vacant. He has like a whole lot of hotels and all of this and that, right? But since, because of the COVID, people have been dropping dead. People have been staying at home, so money's been, is being lost, right? And so even in the time that we're living in now, student loans don't have to be repaid back yet, because of the pandemic, so that's more money that's not going into Esau's pocket. Esau, he can't recover from this, man. This is a wrap. This is game over, man. Like, this is like a football game, and this is like one of the last innings of the quarter. He only got like 5 minutes left. He's already down, 3-4 touchdowns. He can't come back from this, man. This is just a wrap, bro. It's just like the Lord is just trying to show the stupid people amongst our people that this is coming to an end. They need to repent, man, because they have a chance to escape this destruction. I know as hell that I ain't gonna be, I'm gonna be able to eat during this, during Jacob's trouble, when all this shit collapsed and people start to become beasts. Their carnality was chose, right? So I think that's it for today. That's all I really see that's of importance, right? And then you got Esau trying to, you know, trying to play the good guy, you know, but it's just too late for that, man. Like, you've let too many of them rich people get away with pedophilia and all of this other stuff, man. So with that, I want to say, call hello Yahweh Bashem Yahweh and Shalom, you know, uh, peace and blessings to you Israelites who are actually repenting, you know, and trying to serve the Lord, you know. So Shalom.